don't know what I should do, and I wish you would be right here with me. My mind is filled with pictures of when we used to dance, but
Hi, pals. It's your girl SP, your aspiring homemaker 27. How are you guys and how have you been? I mean, tell me about it. How has your week been and how's life going? I still hope we're living up to those hashtags. Well, here's mine. I have promised you, it's been a long promise kept. I promise that I'll make a video about permaculture farming. As I have said, I'm a permaculture farmerate. Yes, I am a woman who is a farmer. So I'm not just a farmer, but I'm a farmerate. I hope all of you know the term. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you're fine. Please comment down below. How are you doing? How are you feeling? Let us talk. Let us chat. And let us engage. I did say on my last vlog that I want us to talk more about the issues that maybe are seen taboo, the issues that are a lot of people don't want to discuss about, the issues that maybe are too shameful. I did say one of the great things I've learned by this time and by now in my life is to embrace my space and to embrace myself. I've lived for the past 27 years. I think it only came to me this year, and I'm still in it. It hasn't come fully. Learning to embrace myself and also learning to just find myself. Not that I've figured life out. I mean, I don't believe anyone ever figures life out, but I'm learning to. I've lived with a lot of low self-esteem, to be honest, and I'm working on that. So anyways, let me not rant. Welcome to your first official permaculture vlog. Woohoo! Well, I have said for the longest time since last year, I'm a permaculture farmerate. I'm going to show you a vlog where I'm going to do a vlog where I show you more about permaculture farming. Oh yes, permaculture, it's the life of my life. It's the light of my life. I hope that makes sense. But ever since I learned about permaculture farming, I also learned that I don't really hate numbers. I mean, I was not good at school with mathematics, and I always hated anything to do with numbers. Most of the time, I'd say my teacher was right. People who are good with words aren't good with numbers, and the opposite. Well, but I'm not good with either, so after learning about permaculture farming, I knew that everything that I have to do in my life has to be calculated, just like how I calculate the amount of money that I'm going to get in one permanent bed when I put those seedlings in. The moment I put seedlings in the bed, I already know how much money I'll make from that bed. you know, and also for how many weeks am I going to be cashing in that money. That's how permaculture is to me. It teaches me that even though I dislike numbers, anything that has to do with math, counting, calculating, I dislike that a lot. But after learning about this method of farming, I've learned that everything you do has to be calculated. You have to know how much money you're putting in there, how much money you're investing in your seedlings. So it's not just about that, but it's a whole lot more. Well, let me not talk too much. Let me just tell you a little bit on what permaculture is and maybe some of the topics I want to cover about permaculture on this vlog. Well, permaculture is it's about caring for the environment so that the environment can care for us. It's about working with the ecosystem in a way that is holistic. Well, there are a lot of things to talk about. For example, what is permaculture? Why did I choose permaculture farming? There are many types of farming that we have. I could have just gone for the old traditional God's way farming, but I went for permaculture design and permaculture structure on, you know, on learning about more about farming, also learning about the ethical foundations of permaculture, some of the principles of permaculture, and how you plan and design your garden, how you prepare the permaculture beds, and also how permaculture works with domestic animals in your garden. There's so much more. But as you know, a wise sage once said, a journey of 1,000 miles must begin with a single step. That is by Lao Tzu. Permaculture has been described in a whole variety of ways, but there are some descriptions that are very meaningful to me, and most of them by the founder of permaculture farming, Bill Mollison. He says that in his description, permaculture is a system by which we can exist on Earth by using energy that is naturally influx and relatively harmless, and by using food and natural resources that are abundant in such a way that we don't continuously destroy life on Earth. There are the many great explanations of permaculture. Let me explore two. Permaculture is a way of living and growing food by copying nature and working with nature. How beautiful is that? So amazingly, this description and this explanation of permaculture was actually given by Etegwini municipality, where we have some food gardening guide for schools, which is really amazing. For those who don't know where Etegwini municipality is, this is in South Africa and in the city of Durban in the state or province of KwaZulu-Natal. Let me explore one more meaning. This one really touches my heart. Permaculture is a harmonious combination of land and people supplying their food, energy, shelter, and other materials and non-materials needs in a sustainable way. This is by Paul Duncans. How amazing is this? It is really a harmonious combination of people and land. It's like a love story of people and land, I'd say. Well, as I said, let us explore more on finding out what it is. To be quite honest, as an English teacher, I believe in the etymology of words. And of course, the etymology of the word permaculture, it's always important sometimes. I'm not teaching, but I must say, this is what I usually say in my classes as well. A lot of words we have in the English language are also compound words. Sometimes it's a matter of just trying to divide the word in two to find the right meaning. Funny thing, my teacher back in high school used to say, sometimes we can almost know the meanings of all new vocabulary that we come across when we read just by doing this very same method of looking at words as compound words and trying to find or decipher the meaning. She just always said it's inferential skills. At that time, I didn't understand, but I do now. As I said, it's always great to look at the etymology of the words. If you look at the word permaculture, it's two words, perma and culture. Permaculture comes from the words permanent and also agriculture. So, in simple words, it can mean that agriculture, food production that continues, or simply culture, ways of doings, customs that last. Permaculture is a system of natural farming where the farmer works with nature, and together, nature and people create a better farm and a way of producing food. Permaculture works with the earth and all its resources in an attempt to creatively support all living things and provide more resources rather than only using resources. Permaculture so amazingly uses design, the environment, and different ways of thinking to create an edible ecosystem. Food forest, for example, food, an income generating farm. Permaculture is about watching, it's about listening, it's about feeling nature, and then creating a garden from your observations, and therefore you're beginning to repair the earth. Permaculture is more about designing a better way to live and exist with your environment rather than harming it. And honestly, when we talk about designing in a permaculture garden, it means joining the different resources and elements, for example, water, soil, plants, and animals, together to create a worthwhile and working environment. It can transform your home, it can transform our neighborhoods, our communities, and definitely our lives into a rich, green, nurturing environment that provides us with food security, with warmth, and definitely with work. And quite amazingly, permaculture is not new for us in South Africa. It's something that has always belonged in our history and the history of our ancestors. I think, of course, if I have to talk about that, there's a whole lot that I'll have to talk about. But if you do have an interest in permaculture and the history of permaculture in South Africa, comment down below and we'll talk about that maybe on our next vlog. I mean, if you guys do enjoy the permaculture vlogs. And I do think some of you, this is probably the next question. After such a passionate explanation and full description of permaculture, but why permaculture? Wow. It's more like an interview to myself. Permaculture is the principles of permaculture, mostly for me. They have ultimately been an advantage to myself, to my family, and I can say to some part of my community. And it has led towards a much healthier and more abundant lifestyle. And honestly, food security and less cost. When people think about farming, they think about investing a lot of money. We think about tools and equipment, heavy machinery. Permaculture is doing away with all of that. It's just you and your simple space, whether it's an outdoor area, a backyard area, and just designing this system of permaculture, and then just deciding to buy some or purchase some seedlings. And what happens next is not much, honestly. There are so many personal benefits for permaculture for me. Some of the benefits that I've experienced as a farmer, right, and using the systems and the methods of permaculture farming is that your entire lifestyle begins to change and shift, and you and your ideas and your ideals begin to grow, change organically together with your garden. And especially for me with my garden. It's my health, my attitude, my overall appearance. It has altered, and as I began to think and eat and breathe and even sleep differently, I knew how the importance that it served for me. And one of the examples I'd like to share is that after creating a permaculture design for my garden, I visited a friend who also does the same thing. Most of my friends, I don't really have lots of friends, but most of them are older. And she said to me, we sat in her home, we water the garden in her home, and then after she made lunch for us, I didn't know at the time that she's raising her own chickens or that she had started raising chickens. But I found out on that day, and it was during the time I was eating the chicken. So she had boiled the chicken. It was really, really nice. But it was so different from the chicken that I eat on my day-to-day lifestyle. I said, what is in this chicken? Sorry. She said, this is an organic chicken. Sorry. And I said, okay. An organic chicken, it means one that you grow in your own home for yourself. And at that time, she took me outside to a house where she has chicken coops. And she told me, I've been growing chickens and you just don't like to visit me. And I laughed, thinking that it takes months to grow chickens, of course. From that moment, when I came back home and started eating the chicken that I eat in my day-to-day lifestyle, I said, this one's not so nice. We know what happens in the food productions and stores and shops and meeting the demands of our everyday life, that the food is altered. So I said to myself, I want to start eating organically. I started buying my chicken from an organic butchery. Just like that, I started paying attention on what I eat, how I'm eating. And the best part of it is the part where we snack. We eat a lot, especially if you're working from home. You find yourself, you eat a lot. And sometimes you think, I don't have enough of food. And this is one of the reasons for me. Also, food security, not having enough, and just wanting to have an abundance. I started snacking with sweet corn or potatoes, which is something I never imagined doing. But to be quite honest, it really improved my health and better nutrition, as much as I'm not losing weight, and just eating fresh greens and healthy food. It has helped, I believe, to build my immune system, as much as I'm not someone who exercises. Also, it's a motivation and inspiration to do things differently. But one of the greatest things and one of the personal benefits of permaculture for me was entrepreneurship. Whatever I put in my garden, I need to sell it, and I need to be smart about selling it. The financial gains, it's amazing, it's wonderful, and it certainly motivates you to go into your garden every day and to know that you're earning with this garden as well. Some of the other benefits are on a community level. For example, as you can see right here in this garden, this is a garden where we're making a sample or a demo for permaculture, and this is now putting permaculture out there for my community. And some of the benefits that they're going to experience, it's a whole lot. It's really a whole lot, especially on the employment side, creating employment, having fresh, organic food. I think I have to put organic in capital letters because sometimes people are using fertilizers that are chemicals that are harming their garden, just like also in this garden as well. They're excited about permaculture. They're excited to see some of the methods we use instead of fertilizers, the natural organic methods. And moving on, some of the permaculture principles that I really love to go through and share is the permaculture attitude. Permaculture is a way of life, just like how Islam is a way of life. We even have something called a permaculture attitude. This is when you begin to live the permaculture way. You will mostly you discover that many aspects of your life will change. Your attitude to living and existing changes. Your mindset becomes more positive, and like a magnet, you begin to attract positive vibes, positive experiences towards life. Not only will the garden change, but you will also begin to change, of course. We have something called permaculture attitude, where we have divided into two: negative attitudes and positive attitudes. I just want to read out some negative attitudes that I learned about in my class. Some of the negative attitudes on permaculture attitudes are: I can't, I'm empty, I'm hungry, I'm cold, I'm unfavorable, I'm needy, and I'm desolate. This is the mentality of people, of sometimes us as people when we go through hard times, of people living in local communities, of people, even people who go to work on a day-to-day basis. These are some of the negative attitudes that we're catching on. I don't have enough. I'm unfavorable for those who go to work. I'm hungry. I'm empty for those who are living in local communities and maybe aren't working or aren't employed yet. Some of the positive attitudes I'd like to share is: I am full, I'm healthy, I'm warm, I'm favorable, I'm satisfied, and I am abundant, or I'm in an abundance. These are amazing. They are a life changer. And of course, as a wise sage said, the greatest revolutions of our generation is the discovery that human beings, by changing the inner attitudes of their minds, can change the outer aspects of their lives. By William James. This is really true. Sometimes it's about changing what we think, inside, so that it can overflow on the outside. Some of the principles of permaculture are to work with rather than against nature. The problem is the solution. Everything works in at least two ways. I think that's really true. Bring food production back into cities. Use natural material wherever possible. Recycle resources on site. Save energy. Encourage diversity of living organisms. Help your community to become more self-reliant. Start small. Use patterns. And very importantly, and lastly, intensity. The next step in a permaculture garden is to plan and design your garden. But the trick with permaculture is ensuring that your garden is built and designed in such a way that to be at least to have at least labor intensive, and it's very possible. I think this is very, very important. When you're building and designing your permaculture garden in such a way to be as least labor intensive and as possible, this is very, very important. It is to mimic or copy nature and create a garden that reflects what you see around and harness all natural resources. You need to have a picture in your mind of what you're going to create. Consider the elements around your site before you pick up a spade or a fork. The most important tool is a pen and a paper, funny enough, with which you can draw all that you observe around, and you will therefore after be able to create your permaculture garden. The first step in creating your permaculture garden is the proximity. How close is your garden to maybe water access? On proximity, build your garden as close as you can to your house, number one. This way, you can spend as much time as possible in your garden. If your garden is close to your kitchen, you will be sure to harvest fresh herbs and veggies while you cook. Having the garden close to your house also prevents predators such as cats, porcupines, monkeys, as they are unlikely to come so close to human habitations. We know that. Most importantly, by locating your garden close to your dwelling, you will reap the magical benefits in addition to food. The scents of flowers in the evening air, the hover of a butterfly, the sounds of frogs and birds, and all they add to the value of your life. A food-producing garden is an effective way to beautify your home and surroundings. The second step is water. Water is very important. You need to consider how energy efficient it will be to water your new seedlings, and consider ways to which you can reduce your water consumption. Most importantly, observe whether or not there'll be a runoff, which means the precious nutrients you're feeding your garden will be lost down slope. So water is very important. The next step is the terrain. This is very important. The ideal site is a gentle slope with good drainage and a sun-facing aspect. If you have too much slope, you need to start planning a terrace in your garden. I think having the best terrain, it makes life easy. Sometimes geographically it depends on where we are, but not all hope is lost. The next step is aspect. Depending on climate in your area, your garden will tell you if it needs more sun or more shade. The next step and the last step is your access. Access is only important if you're planning to make business with your harvest. You need to make sure that it's not too far, and you need to make sure that it it'll be much more easier for you when you're harvesting, for you to be able to sell your things. It's not something, you're not living in one area and planting in another area, of which I am. Some of these steps, they help us in our permaculture garden. It is important for us to know how close our garden is to our house, to know how close the water access is, to understand the terrain, the land that we're going to design our garden, to understand the aspect and of course the access. These things are important in a permaculture garden. There are a whole lot of things to consider when you're designing your garden. For example, when you first saw how we started the garden, we had to design after measuring how long our garden has to be, how long each bed has to be, and also how long the bed has to be, and how much seedlings to know, for you to know how many seedlings you're going to put inside there. We started with something called a swale or a trench that helps to absorb the water. For any possible, especially heavy rains, it absorbs the water, keeps and stores the water, and so amazingly, it sort of moisturized, or it moistens the rest of the garden beds, even, which helps you not to have to water your garden every day. So you may have to water it twice or 3 times a week when you're starting out. And of course, the last final step. I feel like I've been storytelling permaculture and what's happening in our garden, and just what it is, some of its benefits, on a personal level, on a community level, and also some of its principles. How amazing has it been? I hope you guys are really enjoying this vlog, and I do hope that you guys get to comment this time. Let us talk, let us engage about how the video is, what have you been learning, some of the questions you may have. It doesn't matter if you're using a different method of farming. Just as you see in this beautiful and amazing garden right here, we have an abundance of food, an abundance of vegetables, and most of them, they use the old traditional farming, which is called a God's way farming. And then we're coming here with an element of permaculture, which is so amazing. They're excited, because there are a lot of challenges they've been having, on their garden, that permaculture sort of, it comes in to solve some of the problems that they were facing, just like the mulching. For them, they were not mulching before. They were having a lot of weeds, and mulching really comes as a rescue for them. They're excited. The next step is putting in your amazing babies, putting in your seedlings. So we had different seedlings right here. We had spinach. I mean, it is the season. We had lettuce, which is amazing. I prefer lettuce and carrots, because these are like all year round vegetables. They're amazing, and they're the two biggest vegetables that I focus on personally, because I prefer vegetables that are an all year rounder. So we had spinach, lettuce, we had some beetroot, we had spring onion, which is amazing. I can't share more, but spring onion, honestly, it does magic to your garden. And we had carrot as well. We also had, yeah, I think those are just the vegetables that we put in on this demo garden right here. And putting in the seedlings comes with a lot. For different vegetables, there are different measurements. So we had different measurements for spinach, especially on the lining or the inline or row spacing of spinach. Same with lettuce, same with carrots, beets. Oh, and I forgot, we also had cabbage as well. They have an abundance of cabbage already, but they wanted more, and we went for red cabbage. And also, um, we had onions, not spring onions, but just normal onions, but we went again for red onions as well. So right here, we had to measure the spacing for each of the seedlings that we're putting in. This is this comes down to what I said before, that as you're putting in your seedlings here, you are investing money and you're counting how much money you're going to make. So we're putting seedlings. We know we also have to divide the seedlings as well. So if you have like a whole bulb of spinach seedling, you can sometimes separate it so that you can get maybe 2 or 3 out of one bulb. So one bulb of seedlings. So right here, that's what we are doing. We're putting in different seedlings and following the measurements for each different kind of vegetable that we're putting into the garden. And this process was so amazing, but I must say it was exhausting and draining, as we had to, I mean, my back aches because of this, but it was worthwhile. It was fun, it was exciting, and there was so much learning, especially for our youngsters right here. And at the same time, there was so much of unity and understanding the process of what we are doing. So after this process, we also get to water the seedlings, and probably that will bring us to the end of our permaculture vlog. I will, however, visit this amazing place, this amazing site. I'll do a site visitation now for checking how the plants are growing, how the seedlings have grown, and also I will definitely take you along the journey of harvesting. I'll do the harvesting, but I do want to show you some of the carrots that was harvested on this amazing, beautiful site here. So I think I will just put it um, on my next segment of this vlog. But how are you guys doing? How are you guys? Are you learning? Are you understanding the importance of not just permaculture, but of farming and what it serves, and also how it can help us, especially doing it organically? This is very, very important. And I did mention also get the importance of knowing the kind of soil that you have. Right here, we did a manual check for finding out soil testing, and we found out that this is loam soil, of which loam soil is really it's a no stressor, to be quite honest. But it's important to know the kind of soil you have so that you know the kind of seedlings or plants that you have to plant in your own garden. This is very, very important. It's important to know some of the principles and some of the to-do list on your site visitation before you plant that I did mention. So I hope you guys are learning. I hope you guys are enjoying. And comment down below. Let's engage. Let's talk. And share some of your stories of how maybe you've started living an organic lifestyle. What were some of the things that reawakened you to this lifestyle? Because honestly, it changes your perspective to life. Wanting to know more about the food that you're eating, wanting to know more about how organic it is, wanting to know more about, I mean, it goes beyond, well, maybe I'll share this on my upcoming vlogs, but my father received a jersey or sweater from my brother-in-law abroad, and it was a hemp sweater. And it's so amazing how even the kind of clothes you wear, as much as you're using your clothes, but you start saying, oh, these are the kinds of clothes that I want to wear now, which are made organically as well. So my dad is really rocking the organic hemp sweater, but that's just me adding on to how much it changes your perspective from the food you eat, from your diet, from wanting to have more food security and abundance of food, from the financial and business or entrepreneurship side to the kind of clothes that you wear and a whole lot of other things. Hair product as well for me. My face soap, and also different kinds of soap that I now make from turmeric. This definitely deserves another vlog where I get to show you our permaculture farm in Claridge, so you can see when we're doing the harvesting of herbs now, because we do herbs harvesting as well, so that you can understand how important it is. It affects your whole life, the kind of clothes you wear, the soap you use, the food you're eating. It's just in all aspects of your life. But do comment down below. Tell me if you're enjoying the vlog, and also tell me if you'd like to see, put maybe a vegetable emoji on the comment section to tell me that you would like to see more vlogs on farming, on permaculture, and of course our permaculture farm in Claridge. I hope you guys are enjoying. I've enjoyed doing this storytelling, taking you step by step on how we constructed and designed this beautiful permaculture design garden. Well, it's time for me to love you and to leave you. Happy, enjoy watching and do engage as well. I'll see you guys on the next one.
He knows every stone that's been struck by the plow. There's a pile by the barn, by the sweat of his brow. The land has his heart and he rarely complains, and it holds his knees when he prays for rain. He's a dusty old car, hard and a light in the barn. He'll work the late hours and he's up before dawn. Every man has a story, and the story goes on, from a granddad's eyes to a newborn son. Why, farm is in my blood, like the sun that's on my skin. It's who I'm meant to be, it's who I've always been. It's more than just a living, it's my way of life, and it grows like seed inside my heart. That's why I farm. We always pulled through when we thought we would break. In the flood, 93, in the drought, 80.